Hi, I'm Kanani Briggs, the lead agent on the Curtain team. And today in our Rightsizing resource series, I'm joined by Deborah Daniel, the owner and founder of Charter Accounting. And these conversations are really designed to help you understand what resources are available to you as you navigate making a life transition. So we are going to talk to the expert. So let's get started. Thank you, Deborah, for joining us today. And so for someone who's never heard of charter accounting or of you, just share a little bit about what you do.
Sure. Well, so I am Deborah Daniel, as Kanani said. I am a CPA, and that's my main claim to fame is I've been a CPA. I've owned this firm for about 3 decades. It's kind of, I don't know where the time went, but it's really so much. That's really the entry point into my world most of the time is through just the taxes. But we are really so much more, I really am so much more comprehensive because the taxes are just one piece of your financial life, but they are a big piece that people forget about a lot of the time. But it really is my mantra and what I taught, I mean, kind of my tagline, make more, keep more, and grow more. The taxes are the keep more part, but I also help work with business owners and other, rental property owners, Airbnb, that kind of thing. How do we bring more money into the ecosystem? Then the taxes are saving. And then ultimately too, now that we've kept some, we can grow that into some wealth because, I mean, if we're proactive, those three pieces should all fit together.
Yeah, definitely. So how does your work usually show up for somebody who is thinking about downsizing or making a big right sizing change with their home?
Awesome. Okay, well, so there's really two populations that can benefit from what I call tax planning and active planning. I mean, everybody can work from a financial standpoint, but like business owners and people that have rental properties and stuff like that, we can definitely help with tax planning. But the second one, who would probably be this population, are pre-retirees and retirees, because you do get a chance to really choose which bucket, I mean, your money comes from. Do I take it from Social Security? Do I take it from Roth accounts? Do I have other kinds of investments? How do I keep my lifestyle going? And part of that is one, the inflow, which one of those accounts should I be taking it from? And what are the tax ramifications of which type of income? Because it's very different, the taxes on Social Security versus your investment account, selling your stocks and or your retirement accounts. But then also, you know, I don't need this big house anymore. And so can I take out less money from my whatever sources I have? And so it does factor into that conversation. Plus, a lot of times people are also curious about how does selling my house that I've lived in while my kids were with me, how does that in fact affect my taxes? And it does matter, if you've lived there for 2 out of the past 5 years. I mean, so we get actually very involved. Sometimes I kind of laugh and say the P in CPA stands for psychologist because all this money stuff is so like involved in so many more decisions than just figuring out their taxes.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense and kind of leads me to the next question, which is about timing. So if someone is contemplating selling their home over the next year, and it might be a home they've lived in 10, 20 years, when would be a good time for them to reach out to you?
Well, really, I mean, the thing is, anytime you've got a financial question, it's always better to have time to think and absorb and plan versus being in an urgency kind of situation. It's kind of like when you take off on a road trip, if you've already looked at, what the different paths are and deciding on a path versus I got to be there in 3 hours. So how the heck do I get there fast? Same kind of thing. The
Yeah,
earlier we plan, the better.
very good. What are some of the biggest misconceptions about the services that you provide?
Well, I think most people, I mean, I do think that some people do have a misconception about what is a CPA, what should my tax preparer be doing, or I don't need to listen to this stuff because my CPA is taking care of me. But the reality is if you're only seeing your CPA once a year or when you've got like an emergency situation, you're not getting anything besides a transaction. I mean, we're doing your tax return. It's what happened last year. It's totally static. We can't really help you make decisions because it's already after the fact. So I think people think that we're somehow knowing your situation, involved in your situation, when all we see is once a year. So you really need to have an ongoing relationship with whoever's helping you with these things.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So if somebody wanted to work with you, what does that look like? How would somebody get started?
Well, there's a lot of ways. I mean, there's a big population that only they're just seeing us once a year and they want to do a tax return. And if you don't have a really, anything other than wages and maybe some interest in dividends, that's probably okay. But if you've got a rental property, you have any kind of gig employment, 1099, have an LLC, S corp, we really need to be kind of locking arms, throughout the year a couple of times. And so that process looks like really, I mean, kind of like what you would do with just your financial planner by itself. Where are you? What's going on? What are the situations we can do in designing a plan? So that's really how people come into our world is really with the tax as the backbone, but then what does this really mean for my overall finances?
What are some of the challenges that you see in working with somebody who is making a big life transition? What are some of the challenges that you see related to what you do?
Well, I would say one of the challenges is a lot of times people don't even really know exactly what they have. They've got this old 401k, they left at a company, they haven't been in it for 15 years. They've got this thing over here. They don't really understand, what I'm getting these three statements. I really don't know what it is. I mean, they just don't really have a grip. People, unfortunately, there's so much fear, shame, confusion, so many emotions around money that people tend to kind of stick their head in the sand until they actually are forced to, actually keep it together. But the thing is, the reality is what's measures, what you measure, you can actually control, right? So if you have some kind of a way that you're keeping up with everything on a spreadsheet, plus, I mean, we've just because my husband and I are kind of the money people in our family, we are involved every time we have like one of our parents has died or, whatever. It's so much more stress free for your heirs. Forget even right sizing, what's going on? Where did my mom and dad leave all their money? So just having that's a real, I think, stumbling block for most people is they just don't want to deal with it and have it in an organized manner.
Yeah, yep, I can see that. So, what is one small thing that someone could do right now if they are thinking about making this type of change with their home? What's one small thing they could do right now to better position them for that transition?
Well, I mean, I had so many more things than just the financial side, like declutter. But no, but if you're looking at it from my perspective and
Yeah.
my area of expertise, would be really to sit down and look at what do I want this next phase to look like? Not really just from the house perspective, but from an income perspective. Am I going to be traveling a lot? Because if you're going to travel a lot, maybe you don't need as much house in the next situation. Or I want to, do I want to stay here because my kids are going to have grandkids and I need to be there? So you really, it's so much more than just the financial, I think. But from the financial perspective, it's really just looking at what are my inflows, what are my outflows, why am I making this decision? Is it just because I don't want to keep up the yard anymore and I don't want to have the upstairs bedrooms because the kids have all graduated and left? Because like in our situation, our house is too big for us, but the main level is perfect. I mean, we just stay on the main level, and I like my neighborhood, and I mean, so you have to kind of look at so many more things. But it is, I think, when the pedal hits the metal, it comes down to finances. Like, what would it be? Even if you don't have a mortgage, there's a lot more upkeep in a bigger house than there is in a smaller house. So, how much do I want to allocate for maintenance? And some of the, like, I don't know, I mean, I'm not a real estate expert, but I have a lot of clients that come in and tell me there's some of these senior communities that they take all the stuff away, even in a house. They don't have to be in those like 55 plus, little condos or whatever. But some of the housing communities around here are taking care of the yards and all that kind of stuff. You just got to look at that from a financial. Is it worth it to, just like always, is it worth it to let somebody else do it? Or, do I want to do it myself? I think it's just budget is more than anything.
Yeah, so it does sound like partnering with you. It is more of a partnership on your overall, how your finances and taxes can support your lifestyle
Mhm.
and what you envision for yourself.
100%. I
Yeah,
speak from the voice of tax, but it's really the voice of money.
yeah, wonderful. Well, that is wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us today. And at the Curtain Team, we believe when you move smart, you live better. And right sizing with confidence starts with having the right information and the right partners. So thank you for being one of those partners for us, Deborah.
Awesome. Glad to
All
help.
right. Thank you.